pardon today. Coming up this hour, very funny comedian and filmmaker Alicia Cooper on her new comedy special, Alicia Cooper for President. Can't wait to have a conversation with her. But first, let's get you caught up. Ohio voters resoundingly rejected a Republican-backed measure that would have made it more difficult to change the state's constitution, setting up a fall campaign that will be the nation's latest referendum on abortion rights since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned nationwide protections last year. The defeat of Issue 1 yesterday keeps in place a simple majority threshold for passing future constitutional amendments rather than the 60% supermajority that was proposed. The Supreme Court is reinstating a regulation aimed at reining in the proliferation of ghost guns, which are firearms without serial numbers that have been turning up at crime scenes across the nation in increasing numbers. The court yesterday voted 5-4 to put a hold on a ruling from a federal judge in Texas that invalidated the Biden administration's regulation of ghost gun kits. The regulation will be in effect while the administration appeals the ruling to the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and potentially the Supreme Court. A lawyer allied with Donald Trump first laid out a plot to use false slates of electors to subvert the 2020 election in a previously unknown internal campaign memo that prosecutors are portraying as a crucial link in how the Trump team's efforts evolved into a criminal conspiracy. The existence of the December 6, 2020 memo came to light in last week's indictment of Donald Trump, though its details remained unclear. But a copy obtained by the New York Times shows for the first time that the lawyer, Kenneth Cheesebro, acknowledged from the start that he was proposing a bold, quote unquote, bold controversial strategy that the Supreme Court would likely reject. The FBI shot and killed a man today while executing a search warrant in Provo, Utah. The investigation involved the suspect making alleged threats against politicians and public figures, including President Joe Biden and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, according to NBC News. The suspect was identified in charging documents as Craig Robertson. On Monday, Robertson allegedly made a threat referencing Biden's trip to Utah this week, saying he needed to prepare his camouflage and sniper rifle. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is expected to seek more than a dozen indictments when she presents her case regarding efforts by Donald Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia before a grand jury next week. Fani Willis has been eyeing conspiracy and racketeering charges, which would allow her to bring a case against multiple defendants. Her wide-ranging criminal probe focuses on efforts to pressure election officials, the plot to put forward fake electors, and a voting systems breach in rural Coffee County, Georgia. Black residents of Alabama's capital said they were not surprised that worker Damian Pickett was attacked by at least 4 white men in Montgomery, Alabama. They were also anticipating the support Pickett received from Black people who came to his aid, including one young man who plunged into the river from the boat and swam to the dock in his defense. 3 of the 4 white men who assaulted Pickett have been charged. They were charged yesterday with 3rd-degree assault. Special counsel Jack Smith's office executed a search warrant on Donald Trump's Twitter account earlier this year, searching for evidence of criminal offenses. The existence of the January search warrant was disclosed in a decision by a federal appeals court in Washington affirming a lower court's decision holding Twitter in contempt of court and sanctioning the company $350,000 for not immediately complying with the warrant. And in Hawaii, at least 6 people have been killed in unprecedented wildfires that are raging across Hawaii's Big Island and Maui. Hawaii Governor Josh Green said much of the town of Lahaina is destroyed and hundreds of families have been displaced. There is no 911 service on Maui's west side, with resorts, visitors, and commercial districts losing communication due to downed cell towers, according to an emergency official. When we come forward, we are going to be speaking with comedian Alicia Cooper, comedian and filmmaker. Her new special on Tubi, Alicia Cooper for President, is hilarious. I've had a chance to listen to the whole thing, and I can't wait to have this conversation with Alicia, not only about her new special, but also about this Montgomery Riverfront brawl. I'm sure she's got some thoughts on that and on Trump's dozens of indictments. We'll get Alicia's thoughts when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar,
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. Yeah.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about.
We are back on Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva Martin today, and I am very pleased to be joined by comedian and filmmaker Alicia Cooper. Her new special, Alicia Cooper for President, is out now. Hey, Alicia, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. How are you, Avi? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing very well, and especially now that you're here, because I want to talk about this special of yours. It's called Alicia Cooper for President, and I always wondered this about comedians. Do y'all know the name of the special before you tape it? Or is it something that you kind of do the special and then you, after listening to it, you say, okay, you know what a good title for this would be? This, or how does that work?
Well, for me, I always know the title before the special, because the special has to have the same feel of what I'm trying to convey from the title. So I know when people are writing scripts, sometimes they'll write the script and then find a line out of the script and then make that the movie title. When it comes to stand-up, for me, I have to go in intentional based off of the title I've selected.
All right. So Alicia Cooper for President, what made you wanna name your special Alicia Cooper for President? This is your 6th special, and you've been doing this a long time. And I know that you're also a keen observer of politics. So is that why you wanted to name the title that, or is it just because you really liked your set about being president?
Well, like you said, I've been doing this for 23 years, and I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. So, we all politics all day long anyway, whether we realize it or not. We're getting indoctrinated into this thing because we're so far from the White House and the nation's capital. But when it came to the title, for me, I was thinking how many hundreds of millions of Americans they are. And these two dudes are the best we got. These two octogenarians. I'm like, come on. At some point, we all know that after a certain age, you start to lose a little bit of your faculties. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just a natural part of life. I see the decline in me mentally, and I'm half their age. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you mean to tell me that these two are the best that we have? So I came up with the fact that if they can get elected, so can I. So I'm running for president. Just write my name in, because Hillary spent $700 and something million just running. I'm not going to be able to raise that much. So just write my name in, because I know there's things I can do right off the bat. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse those airline bag fees. The grift has gone on long enough. They know we going out of town. We got to take something. Then I'm going to balance the budget, because they don't pay attention to where they're losing out, all the wasteful spending and the places where you can actually add to the budget. There's 100 and something rooms, 105 rooms in the White House. Joe and his wife only using about 3 of them. So we can rent them other 102 rooms out. I would have this budget balanced in 2 years. There's things I would take away. We don't need around-the-clock Secret Service for the lifetime of a president. We're still paying for Secret Service for Jimmy Carter. Most people think Jimmy Carter already did. Who is after him? We can take that out the budget.
Yeah, so you're going to balance the books real quick. You're going to help us get rid of the deficit.
But the biggest thing, Avi, is I'm going to unify the country, because I'm going to change the national anthem to Blow the Whistle by Too Short. That's something everybody will stand up and put their hand over their heart for.
I certainly would. And remember, if you're watching this or listening to this, when you're going to write in Alicia Cooper, that's Alicia with the Y. It's ALYCIA when you're writing her name in your presidential ballot. Okay, so Alicia, are you concerned that maybe you might tip the scales a little bit? People who might vote for Biden might end up voting for you instead?
Well, I'm hoping to tip the scales and win. You got to go in with the winning mentality. I can't go in scared money doesn't win. And there's no way people going to see me and him and not pick me.
That is certainly a possibility.
Especially over all the decades where Black women have saved democracy. We got Fonnie Willis about to save us in Georgia now. We got the other Black judge about to save us in D.C. We always saving us. So we should have had a Black female president by now.
We should have for sure. But Alicia, you say in your special that you're riding with Biden. You mentioned that these two dudes are the best that we got, but you're still riding with Biden. So why is that?
Well, let me tell you something. I would vote for a fire hydrant over Donald Trump. I am ABT, anybody but Trump. So I don't care who the opponent is to him. There's no way in the world I'm going to let this crazy man be lamed up. And he wants to tell you he didn't lose, right? He wants to say he's still the president. Well, then if this is your second term, you can't even run in 2024.
That's a good point, because there is a constitutional amendment that says a president can only serve 2 terms.
Yeah.
And
I agree with him. He's the president right now. Let's disqualify him in 2024.
That's you know what? I've never heard that before, and maybe that would work. Maybe that would. I feel like he's going to try to change the Constitution anyway. He's going to try to say that he can serve 3 terms now. He can serve for life, because he would try to do something like that if he got back into office.
Oh yeah, the first thing we're gonna be back in slavery. We're gonna have to report to the nearest plantation. We already got the slave master's name, so I'm getting sent to the Cooper plantation 2 days after he wins. So I'm gonna have chains on my legs and my hands. Oh, he got something prepared. He bringing slavery back.
I don't doubt that.
Well, you going with the Bernards. So just you going with the white Bernards.
No, they're gonna change my name. My name's not gonna be Bernard anymore. They're gonna give me a different name. Yeah, no, it was. I remember in the movie Amistad, they gave him the name Bernardo, and I was like, oh damn. I don't remember that, but in your special, you talk about a lot of important issues, but You talk about them in a way that makes them fun and entertaining. So what about what do you think about people who didn't want to get the vaccine because they didn't know what's in it?
Well, I thought that was ridiculous because they'll never know what's in anything else. These are the same people that done smoke weed in a room full of strangers, watching this stranger lick the paper and slob it down, and they waiting their turn patiently. So now all of a sudden we all had to get vaccinated to go to elementary school. This is not new to us. And then people try to compare it to the Tuskegee experiment. That's not what that was. The Tuskegee experiment, they were kept from getting medication that could have helped them. Mm-hmm. So you're comparing apples to oranges. And if they're going to give these vaccines to white people, they already know the vaccine is all right. Now, if they said black people get Pfizer and white people get Moderna, then our tentacles should be up. But they're not killing the doctors. The doctors took them first.
Yep. And see, that's what I was always saying, too, is that if it was just black people in line getting these vaccines, then we may want to be a little bit hesitant. But it was everybody in line getting the vaccines. You saw, Trump himself getting the vaccction, Biden getting the vaccine. They're not going to take
it. Did. They sure did get them.
So, Alicia, when this is your 6th special, and how does it come about with you making a new special? Do you kind of just try material out on the road until you have a certain amount's worth, or do you kind of just have it in your mind, okay, it's time for me to make a special, or is it just, it kind of just comes to you every so often, or do you have a goal for how often you make a new special?
Yeah, I probably do one every 2 years, because I work all the time. So, and I record all my stuff. I audio record all my stuff on my iPhone. So I just compile a list of things that's working on the road. And if I'm not on the road, I'm at the Comedy Store on Sunset on Friday nights. And that's one of the premier venues where you can just, you have a lot of tourists and people coming in. So you don't get the same people, the same types of people every week. So it's a good barometer of whether or not your stuff is working or will work. I try to write universal material. But yeah, so that's what I do. I just write a bunch of stuff and I keep using it. And I try to, a lot of comics will do the same exact set for a year straight. I get bored of hearing the same stuff over and over again. So I at least try to throw in something different before I get off that stage. And then it just adds up over time. And that's when I say, okay, I'm going to put this down. And then once I put that stuff down, I move on to work on the new stuff that, a lot of stuff that's current, that people can really relate to is what I prefer to talk about.
So how is it when you've been doing this? You said 23 years. You've been doing stand-up and comedy for so long. Does it get hard to come up with new stuff, or is it just there's always stuff happening in the world that you can make new content about?
There's always something happening in the world that you can make something of. And for me, it has to make me laugh first, and then I write it down. So I can't, people try to give me material. I really can't sell what other people think is funny, so it has to really come from me. And that's how it goes. It's something that I see, an observation, or something that I think about, or something based off something else. And a lot of creativity comes from just being in a comedy club environment, because you're really focused while you're there. Like the rest of the world is really blocked out. And I come up with some really good stuff while I'm at the job too. And I'll just type in my notes a couple words like, expound on this idea. And then as comics, when we're at the Comedy Store, we bounce ideas off of other comics in the green room. So, so it's an interesting process. But for me, I found that it gets easier each year because I'm more and more comfortable, more and more confident. I've worked in so many types of venues that I can make adjustments if something isn't working. But it takes a while to get there. And also, I used to be afraid of silence. And then I started studying the greats. And one of the greats that I studied was Bill Cosby, because he is the manager of storytelling. He can tell a long story and you're not bored. You're interested throughout because he knows how to put punchlines all throughout the story. And then the final punchline is the payoff. And you have to make the payoff worth the long story. And there's a lot of silence in there. So that's what I had to get comfortable with, because I used to think silence meant I wasn't doing well. Silence only means they're listening.
Yeah, if silence, you're not getting heckled. But you mentioned being in a bunch of different venues, and you said you're not you're always on the road, but you're also on the sea a lot too. You do a lot of cruise ships. And so, but you talked about being able to adjust when something's not going well. Do you kind of know your crowd going in? Do you kind of know what the demographics are? Or I can make jokes about Trump, or these people might not like jokes about Trump, or do you kind of just do your material and they're going take what they get?
It just depends. Every situation is so different. When you talk about a cruise ship, that's still a corporate company. And a cruise ship is so different because the passengers can complain. And the passengers can give the reviews at the end of the week. And if they're Trump supporters and you said something about him that they didn't like, they can crash you. So you have to take all that into consideration. So what I tend to do, if I want to talk about Trump on a cruise ship, I'll make sure that I'm an equal opportunity offender. I'll say some negative things about Trump, but I also say some negative things about Biden. That way you can't be like, oh, she just tackled the right and just said nothing about the left. So I try to balance it out. Now, when I'm on land, there's no balance. The balance is very, it's probably 90-10 on land. But on a ship, you don't want to get the bad reviews. So all that stuff. And ships are a lot of people with disposable income, and they tend to be Republican. But the funny thing about those people is they hate political correctness at the same time. So it's a weird balance. Every audience is going to be different.
So it sounds like you're into comedy and gymnastics if you're having to be on the balance beam all the time. But you had a really a funny bit in your special about being on a cruise ship and someone booking you who didn't really know what they were doing. And what did they ask you? What did they ask you that was surprising?
Yeah, so we're in the negotiation phase, and they asked me if I'll be needing a cabin. And I'm like, where else I'm asleep? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? No. I'll just jump off nightly. How about that? And I'll meet y'all at the next port. I'll be on time. But that goes into crazy stuff that we hear as comics. We hear a lot of crazy stuff that nobody else will have to deal with in their industry. Nobody's going to ask a surgeon, will you be needing a scalpel? But when it comes to us, anything goes.
That's pretty nonsensical. If you're on a cruise ship, will you be needing a cabin? I mean, are there other kinds of rooms? Are there other areas where people sleep? Or what do you mean, will I be needing a cabin?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I thought I was being punked.
When we come forward, Alicia, I want to ask you about the Montgomery, Alabama riverfront brawl, and some of the nicknames that the young kid who swam across the river to assist, some of the nicknames he's been given on social media, and I mentioned them last hour. You have Scuba Gooding Jr., you have Aquaman, and you have Black Woman, Michael B. Phelps, or Michael B. Phelps, Swimbalin instead of Timberland, and many others. I want to get your thoughts on that. Shaquille O'Gill instead of Shaquille O'Neal, Float Mayweather instead of Floyd Mayweather, and if you're a fan of 90s rappers, 90s the guy with No Limit, his name was C Murder with the letter C, but they call him C Murder as in SEA, which a time you spend a lot of time on the sea. So I think that's a particularly good one. So we're going to talk about not only those nicknames, but just the whole situation in Montgomery, Alabama, with the black security guard being attacked simply for doing his job, and the whole, and I want to get your thoughts on all of it. I mean, just the hat throw from the security guard, it was kind of like the bat signal, and then just people coming from all directions. It kind of reminded me of WWE, even before the gentleman used the chair. Because it's like, I don't know if you ever watch wrestling, but people coming down the ramp, to the ring. That's what it reminded me of. I mean, they come down the ramp in WWE, but they also came down the ramp at the riverfront. But they were coming from all directions. It was crazy. But I can't wait to get your thoughts. We're gonna talk to you about that right after this news, traffic, and sports update on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Bounce is back.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your ear.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your ear. Yeah.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Tell me I'm the boy that girl. I'm young, gifted, and black. And that's a fact.
And KB
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Connection established. Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to.
We're back on Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva Martin this evening and joined by comedian and filmmaker Alicia Cooper. She has a brand new special, a stand-up comedy special on Tubi. It's called Alicia Cooper for President. It's also on iTunes. It's a comedy album, which you don't see as often nowadays. And also, Alicia will be performing this Friday at the world famous Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard at 8 p.m. And this Saturday, she has not a one, but a two films in the 3 o'clock block at the Las Vegas Premiere Film Festival. So, Alicia, you stay working.
Yeah. I try. Because we got a strike going on right now with SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild, and there's a lot going on. So that slows down the auditions. So now I'm just focusing on everything else. And I'm writing a book right now and just trying to do more stuff.
Well, you're doing it all. You seem to be doing it all. But I do want to get your take on this Montgomery Riverfront brawl. It's kind of a unifying factor in the black community this last week, it feels like. And we always say, well, we don't condone violence, but it was nice to watch. And we're not condoning violence because they were just standing up for somebody who was being attacked. It's not like just attacked somebody for no reason. They were just standing up for this brother who was just doing his job. So what was your first impression when you saw that video?
Yeah, somebody sent me the video. It was 12 noon on Sunday. And first of all, I was just shocked at what I was looking at. And it was so many parts of that video that you felt bad for laughing. But, I was, like you said, it was the unity for me. We came together. And I don't really like the fact that it's called a brawl because it makes it seem like equal sides were culpable. Mm-hmm. It should be called 7 white men attack a black man. That's what it should be called. And this was the consequences and the repercussions. See, they said Donald Trump had just left there 24 hours earlier. Them people get hyped up every time that man comes to town. And then they had liquor.
I didn't know that part. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had just done a rally there the day before. And then, they get hopped up on that liquor, get that liquid courage. Because anytime somebody has to ask you nicely for 45 minutes to move your little pontoon boat, and you that daggone arrogant to act like you on a yacht, move that daggone thing. You know, and the man said he was saying please, and it still didn't matter. So how does it go from you held people up for 45 minutes? They had to give those people refunds because they missed some of the activities that they had already paid for. So you costing companies money, you're in the way, you refuse to move. And what kind of arrogance is that? In broad daylight, you're gonna attack a man, and you're stupid because you should have seen all them black people around. You think we just gonna allow that in Alabama?
Montgomery, Alabama, too.
Montgomery, we done had to stomp you out for Dr. King. We done had to stomp you out for everybody. You should have known better. You should have known better. And I mean, first of all, the hat toss. I was like, what in the world? That is the new, that hat went up and it reminded me of the opening of Mary Tyler Moore. He threw that hat up in the air and it was on. That's the new, that's our bat signal now. That's the new hoo-de-hoo.
Oh, from now on, from this day forth.
Yeah. From this day forward. I just came from Ross because I was testing out different hats. You know, I had to toss them up, see which ones was too heavy, see which ones took too long to come back down. You know, I had to do my hat toss comparisons at the Ross today.
Yeah,
you know, so I'm ready.
Got the proper hang time. You know, you got to get a good amount of hang time in there.
Oh, yeah, which ones look good on your head before you toss it. So, you know, I done spent my morning getting me some hats. And so I got me a trunk full. You know, once the hat toss, you ain't getting it back because you in the scrum. You know, so it was just, and then the little boy who jumped in the water, who worked there. So that was a colleague of his that he saw being brutalized. And that little boy, 16 years old. Let me tell you something. Only a 16-year-old could do what he did. That boy jumped in that water, swam like a fish, and was able to lift himself up with his own upper body strength. Let me tell you something. If I had gotten in the water with my old behind with asthma, but it would have been 20 minutes before I got over there. Half the fight would have been over. Then I got my arm up, like, can somebody help lift me up onto this pier? It would have been a whole debacle had it been me. But that young man got up, and with the way he was swinging, he was WWE and body slamming men twice his size. I was so impressed. I wanted him to have a GoFundMe so we can contribute to his college. I want an HBCU to reach out and give him 4 years right now. This little brother is the future. That little king deserves something for this. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. And I like how his parents jumped in and said, we're not allowing him to do interviews at this time. This boy is being raised. Man. And I loved every second of it.
For real. I mean, I thought he did have a GoFundMe, but maybe I'm mistaken. But as you said, so the parts of that video that you feel bad for laughing at, but you just see these only white dudes would attack somebody wearing sandals, you know, wearing board shorts and sandals, you know, just no shirt, butt crack showing, and you're gonna try to swing at somebody wearing some open toe shoes. I mean, come on now. I mean,
they thought they had the numbers, but what I love was watching that one white boy dive his behind back into the water for survival. And the chairman, oh man, the chairman. I mean, this man was whopping. He was hitting anything white. And the poor white lady that he hit, she was already down bad. She was already on the floor rethinking her life's choices. She was like, how did I get here? The two black ladies just three-pieced me. Next thing you know, he hit her, wham! All she could do was hold the top of her head and just reflect. And then you got the people, oh, he hit a woman. I didn't see a woman. I saw a domestic terrorist in red. I didn't see a woman. And that chair was rated E for everybody. And everybody got it. So I didn't see any victims. I saw a bunch of people assaulting people who, you know, karma was swift that day. And I bet you they won't do it again. What I like is the hashtag thoughts and chairs.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen that movie, A Bronx Tale.
Yes.
But it reminded me of A Bronx Tale when you know, the Italians, they have a bar that they own, and then these white bikers come into their neighborhood and they start harassing the bartender, the guy who works there. And then they ask him nicely to leave, and then they get more disrespectful. So then they go and lock the door and say, now you can't leave. And it kind of just reminded me when those two white dudes, they were talking. There's that one picture, the iconic picture of like the two rows of black dudes kind of standing there with their hands up, and then the two white dudes that are there like, oh, we really messed up now. And then in the video, at that moment, they're talking to him, and then those two white boys try to walk away, And then the black dudes follow him and say, no, now you can't leave. And it just really reminded me of F around and find out. And as you said, they thought they had the numbers and they didn't. And they're probably, and this is, we do a segment on my show on Fridays called What in the White Privilege. And this was just a masterclass in white privilege and how it can get you messed up. Because they're so used to being able to do whatever they want to do. So when someone tells them, especially a black person, when a black person tells them what to do, and he's just doing his job, and as you said, he said please. He didn't even have to do that. If it was me, I would say, man, move your boat. But
and when we kept wrongfully calling him a security guard, we found out that man was a co-captain. He had some rank, but it didn't matter to them. And the big thing was that the boat is called the Harriet. So Harriet Tubman showed up and showed out. That was for the ancestors. That butt whooping was for the ancestors. We were able to do all the things they weren't able to do in their time period.
Exactly. Because, and this is what I was mentioning in the last hour, if we would have tried to do something like this before, mobs would attack us and there's nothing we could do. And if more of us jumped in, then more of us get consumed by the mob. And if they didn't kill us on the spot, then they would charge us with the violence just for trying to stand up for each other. And now, not only do the white dudes get mollywopped, they get charged as well. And it was
right. And the chief of police is black, the mayor's black. It feels like the reverse of what used to happen to us.
It does, except we would have never perpetrated that attack to begin with. Right. Exactly. But when we come forward, Alicia, I do want to talk to you about some of the trouble that Donald Trump is in, and get your thoughts on that, and talk a little bit more about your special when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Tell me I'm the boy that girl.
I'm young, gifted, and black.
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Connection established. Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about
Areva Martin in real time, it's Avi Bernard in for Areva Martin today. And I am joined by very funny comedian and filmmaker Alicia Cooper. So, Alicia, Donald Trump has been indicted 78 times. One for every year plus one. You know, he's 77. And so with these new charges expected, or at least the Georgia District Attorney, the Fulton County District Attorney, Fonnie Willis, looking to indict him 12 more times. She's seeking 12 more indictments. That would be 90. But do you think that Donald Trump will ever face jail time?
I think that for some reason, this country does not want to jail this man. We couldn't even get a mug shot. They want to act like he doesn't get special treatment. He absolutely does get special treatment. They wouldn't even take this man's passport, talking about he's not a flight risk. He has his own plane and his own helicopter. If anybody's a flight risk, it's him. They take a poor person's passport. We can't even afford to leave. So it's like he already gets special treatment, and he has really been the Teflon Don up until this point. So I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, he's done so much stuff to me that's been egregious and stuff that any of us would have already been in jail for, but they had 10% of the evidence on us. But for some reason, they do not want to jail this man. And he's always playing chess while they playing checkers. The only reason he's running is so that he can say this is a witch hunt. They're trying to stop me from winning an election. This man don't want to be back in that White House for 4 more years. And he also decided if he does win, he's just going to pardon himself. So it was so many benefits for his criminal-minded behind to run this time. And everybody's so afraid that they're going to look a certain way if they jail him. I don't care how it looks. He is a threat to democracy. You've got to do something.
Wait, so I just got to make this clear. Did you say Donald Trump is playing chess, as in he knows what he's doing?
Yeah, he's playing chess by even putting his hat in the ring to run for president, because he knows that now he can say they're only doing this because they don't want me to win. You know, instead of they're doing this because they have the evidence. They're doing this because you've committed crimes. So he has his base saying, repeating that stuff. Oh, they're only going after him to keep him from winning. That's not why. Nobody goes after you to keep you from winning. They're going after you because they have evidence, and they would have gone after anybody else. And had Barack Obama done 5% of this stuff, they'd be like, jail him.
If Barack Obama had jaywalked, all right, he would have been impeached. He knew, and we all knew, that as the first black president, he had to be behaviorally perfect. Obviously, there are people who don't, think he did enough and whatever. I'm not one of those people, but whatever you think about him, you have to acknowledge that the position he was in as the first black president, there's no way that he could have gotten away with anything, and let alone even things that wouldn't have been against the law, but things like infidelity. I mean, just being rude and crass as a black.
Had Barack Obama been caught on audio tape saying grab him by the peep, that would have been the end of it. That would have been an indictment on the whole African-American community. Oh my goodness. He would have just had to drop out of the race. But if you take all the stuff Trump has done and replace it with Obama, you'll see what the real problem is. Had Obama had 3 different wives and 5 baby mamas and all this craziness, and then he's pretending to be an evangelical, saying things like 2 Corinthians. What was he saying? He said, it was just the stuff he was saying. You knew he doesn't read the Bible. You know he knew nothing about any passages. When you ask him about specifics, he gives you none. When you ask about his policy specifics, he had none. Hillary Clinton had a whole website full of policies that she was going to do and plans she had sat down and thought about. They were very nuanced. Nobody wanted her because she was a woman. And women dogged out Hillary Clinton. That's how bad it was. So I just don't understand. I don't understand his appeal. You know, they had a whole, but it was like 16 Republicans running again. They was all saying the same stuff. I guess they just weren't as blatantly racist as him. That's the only difference I can see.
Yeah, it's hard to understand the appeal behind Donald Trump, other than, as you said, they make it feel like it's okay to be racist. He makes them feel like it's okay to be racist, and ever since he's been on the political scene in the political spotlight. That's, you know, it coincided with the end of Obama's presidency, obviously, because he came right after Obama, but he was also part of many of the racial attacks on President Obama, the birther nonsense and all that.
Right. But also, it's not just you and I saying this. We have statistics to back us up. The hate crime statistics, hate crimes have risen immensely under him, and they have, it's facts. It's not even anything that's our opinion. If you look at the percentages of the rise in hate crimes, they happen under his administration, and they're still continuing to this day. That's not a coincidence.
It's definitely not. And as you mentioned, he's saying that he is being persecuted, that they're only trying to charge him with crimes because he's running. But as you said, we all have heard the evidence. It's not just evidence that they have. We have all heard him on tape saying, "Give me some more votes. Yeah. Give me some more votes because the other guy has more than me, and I want to win. So give me this many more votes because he has this many more than me." It's unbelievable.
And when he tried to say that people are bringing him down and lying on him, those people are Republicans. So that goes out the window. Then when he tried to say there was voter fraud, the fraud they found was in his favor. You can't make this stuff up.
You really can't. But before we run out of time, Alicia, I want you to tell us about your special Alicia Cooper for President and where we can see it.
Yes, Alicia Cooper for President. I had a good time filming it, filmed it in Las Vegas. You can see it on Tubi right now for free, or you can buy it on iTunes. You can listen to it in your car, in your AirPods, in your private time. You can just on an airplane, So I've gotten a lot of good feedback about it, and I had a really good time making it. Now it's on to new material, on to something else. I'm working on my next special that I want to film early 2024.
Okay, so you're not waiting 2 years on this one. You're just getting right back into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right back into it. Yeah, I'm gonna get right back into it because there's some things I want to say. Yeah.
What about these films you have at the Las Vegas Premiere Film Festival this weekend? Tell us about these films.
Yeah, I've done 3 short films that we call Trade, Fat Stripper, and Just Us. Trade and Fat Stripper in the Las Vegas Premiere Film Festival this Saturday in Las Vegas.
That one I said, Fat Stripper is hilarious.
So yeah, Fat Stripper and Trade, and they're 2 completely different movies. Fat Stripper is a romantic comedy, Trade is a suspense thriller. But I'm just excited. Anytime I can go into a movie theater and see my work on a big screen, it's exciting to me. And I sit in the back row because I want to see other people's reactions, and it's a really fun experience.
And are these movies that you starred in, wrote, directed? All the above?
Directed and produced all of them. And I starred in Fat Stripper just because I couldn't afford to pay anybody else. And I didn't realize how hard it is to be starring in and directing at the same time, because you can't be in front of the camera and behind the scenes at the monitor at the same time. So right. I'm shooting my scene, jumping down off the stage, going behind the monitor. You play that back? So you have to jump in and out of character to do something like that. And it is not easy. Hats off to any actor who's also directed themselves in a project. I have a newfound respect for them.
Yeah, that is very difficult. It sounds like it's very difficult. I've never done it myself either, despite, being an actor and being in many productions. I've never directed one, especially one that I was trying to act in. And it can be hard to get in the character in the first place, let alone having to jump in and out and then and work about the logistics of the production. That's just that's very difficult. So hats off to you for that. But where can we follow you on social media?
On Instagram, you can follow me at Alicia Cooper 2. That's ALYCIA COOPER and the number 2. On TikTok, Alicia Cooper 3. And on Facebook, my regular Facebook page is full, but the fan page is unlimited people. So you can just type in Alicia Cooper fan page and click like on that. And I'm on there. I'm on there pretty frequently.
Okay, so you still populate Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, well, my Instagram goes over there.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty easy. And my YouTube channel, if you type in Alicia Cooper, you can see some of my stand-up and some of my videos and some of the political panels that I've been on.
Well, I wanted to have you on because, we talk about politics a lot on this show, and your political humor is very on point and on time. And your new comedy special, Alicia Cooper for President, is on Tubi and on iTunes. You'll be performing this Friday at the world-famous Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard at 8 p.m. And this Saturday, you have 2 films in the 3 o'clock block at the Las Vegas Premiere Film Festival. Alicia Cooper, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Ivan. If you ever need me, toss that hat in the air.
I need to start wearing a hat on TV just in case. I need to start bringing one with me everywhere. I definitely will. But best of luck. I enjoyed your special, and best of luck with everything you're working on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And when we come forward, it's going to be the Raw Report with Robin Ayers, and a very special guest is going to be on the Raw Report today. It's singer Michelet. Will be on the Raw Report today, and I'll also be joining Robin in the first part of the show. When we come forward, it's the Raw Report right after this news, traffic, and sports update. But for now, I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4, only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head.